Well, in saying that, let's go straight to a very good friend of mine and a very professional person in the sense why I say that is Brian is he's a top life coach and a youth empowerment coach. I've known Brian McAleer, that is, for the last few years, and he's really making inroads with his business and really helping people out there, especially in people helping them set goals for themselves and work their goals. And he's a powerful youth empowerment coach. And without further ado, please help me welcome Brian McAleer to the program. Brian, welcome to An Hour of Power and Leadership.
Thanks, Ryan. How are you? It's good to be back on your show again.
Yes, absolutely. We've had you on the show a few times, and
Yep.
It's great to have you on the show, and especially kicking off the year 2018. It's great to have you because you're the man to speak to, really. I mean, you've authored a book around setting goals, and you're a powerful youth empowerment coach, and a great time to be speaking to you, Brian.
Thank you for such a nice introduction. And as you were talking, I just remember the first time I came on your show when we met was in early 2012. So that was coming on 6 years ago now. So time flies, hey?
Absolutely, and we've gone on and done a lot of things together with business and events and a lot of other things. And you've taken your business to another notch with helping. Empowering youth and also life coaching, as a matter of fact. And that's why I was really keen to get you on the program to speak to you a little bit about goal setting and the likes. And Brian, you've authored a book, so tell us about your book before our listeners can get an idea of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote my first book, published back in 2014, called Setting Goals Using the Smartest Method. And it was around the time where I was growing my coaching business, and I wanted to have some kind of a product or something unique that I could offer. And I've always enjoyed writing, so I thought I'd sit down and tackle the huge mammoth task of writing a book. And the idea of the smartest method came to me when I was looking at all the different goal-setting formulas which I had used. And one that is common for a lot of people is the SMART way of setting goals, which is an acronym, and that usually stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-framed. And I was using that, and it's quite effective, but I found it was only getting half of the job done. So I expanded on SMART and called it the smartest method.
Yes.
So each letter in the method stands for, there's two different words that it stands for. So it's quite in-depth, and it started off as a blog in 2013, and as I was writing it grew and grew, and it got a bit of a following, and coincidentally, I'd had a self-publishing book package just sitting there ready to go, and they were calling me up saying, "When's your book coming?" And they gave me a bit of a push, and
yes.
I met with my mentor who'd written a few books, and he gave me some guidance, and then I just decided to write it. And I sat down and worked really hard for about a year and a half, and wrote the book and self-published in 2014. So it's coming on 4 years old now, which is really good. And it's in a couple of the local libraries in my area. You can buy it online, and I've had lots of different people find the book and quote it. It's been quoted in a couple of articles. I've had some people from different parts of the world find it and message me on Facebook saying, "I just read your book." So it's headed out there, and it's really just become its own thing now, which is great. So it's been really helpful for me and helpful for lots of other people too.
Absolutely, and it's on Amazon, iTunes, and the likes. And
Yep.
I've seen quite a few reviews, and a lot of people have spoken about your book and the smartest method. And very interesting. And I've used the smartest method, as a matter of fact. Ryan, that makes you feel good. There's a lot of power in that, and it's very important that, especially going into the new year. So
Yes.
every year, a year comes and goes, but it's important that what you do and how you set your, there's resolutions people make, there's goals
Yep.
people work on. So you want to touch a little bit about that. So what is it, for example, for me, I went back to November last year when I really started writing down and setting goals, and I do this, to be able to say, okay, once I was into 2018, I'm here on the radio program. Some of my goals I've started really taking action on those goals. But what is it with resolutions and goals, as a matter of fact?
Yeah, well, it's a common time of the year for people to take a break, and life tends to slow down a little bit over the New Year and early January period. So we finally get to, not for everyone, for a lot of people, they do get to have a bit of a break and reflect on the year that was. And I guess, the 12-month calendar is so ingrained in our life that we see December as the end of a lot of things, and then we're like, okay, it's time to look back and reflect. And we think about what went well, what didn't, what would I like to do this year. So that's part of where New Year's resolutions come from.
Yes.
Also, it's part of the culture now that at the start of the year, you sit down and you look at your resolutions, and you'll hear all these ads on the radio and on television saying, finally make this your best year, and quit smoking, lose
Yes,
weight,
yes.
get control of money, go back and study. You'll see all these ads will just be everywhere
Yes.
during January, which is
Absolutely.
great. That gets people thinking, and they can be really inspiring ads. But contrary to popular belief, a lot of resolutions don't work, and they don't eventuate for people. And a lot of people have experienced that, myself included, where you get a little bit frustrated with yourself because after a few weeks you stop going to the gym or something along those lines.
Yes.
And I think the reason for that is that there's two main reasons resolutions don't always eventuate. That's because it's either the wrong thing for a person. It may have come from some external influence and not really from within themselves. It might be what everyone else is doing or what's popular, but it's not really coming from them and their value system. And the second reason they don't always eventuate is they don't have the right system to achieve their resolution. It's kind of more of just a bit of a wish and a hope. So I always say to people, start with resolutions, come up with your list of what would you like to do this year in 2018. That's perfectly fine. But if you really want them to work, turn your resolutions into solutions and make it a goal. And that's what I say to people is actually sit down and plan goals and plan your year out. And, I incorporate my method into people's goal-setting experience and encourage them to work through it step by step. And then most of the time they find that they've got more of a concrete goal with a plan and a deadline and a step-by-step process, which is much stronger than a resolution, which tends to be more of a bit of a wish or a preference.
And it's some people also, like I said, set ridiculous goals. And what I mean by that is I've known a couple of years ago speaking to a gentleman, and he said, "Look, come March, I want to make $1 million." And I said, "Okay, so let's go back a bit. $1 million. Where are you at this point in time?" "Oh, well, nothing at this point in time." I said, "Okay, to make $1 million, it's not going to happen in 2 months. I mean, yes, if you win the lotto, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
But,
you can't really set a goal to win the lottery, though,
yeah,
can you?
Absolutely. But it's setting ridiculous goals is just not going to work. You've got to, like I said, using the smartest method is great, and to be able to say, okay, how are you going to break down those goals, isn't it? That's the absolute
That's right.
key. So if you've got to work back and you say, okay, you want to make $1 million. 2 months is just not going to work. And this is where people give up at that point in time and say, hey, what?
That's right. Their expectations are either too high for them. And look, a lot of goal success comes from having the right mindset. So
Yes.
if I was coaching that gentleman who said, I want to make $2 million, or $1 million in 2 months rather,
Yes.
I'd say, well, look, based on your reality, your current situation, be honest with yourself. Do you have the means and the access to that money in that time frame? And you might say, well, no. I'm like, okay, that doesn't matter. Well, first you just need to develop a millionaire mindset, which is going to push you to go and do the things that you need to do that will one day make you millions of dollars.
Yes.
So it's about the mindset, and that's what the smartest method really works with in the early parts of the book. It's about changing a person's mindset. And where the smart way of setting goals is effective, it only helps a person plan the goal. It doesn't really help them carry the goal forward. And that was what I found was the flaw with that structure. So when I was developing the smartest method, I added the EST, and that's actually 3 extra crucial elements that most other goal-setting methods leave out. And those 3 extra steps are around energy and momentum, accountability, and lastly, taking immediate action after you've set a goal, and then consistent action afterwards. And those 3 extra steps really help carry the goal forward and give it a much higher chance for success.
And look, let's actually touch on that. That's very important. So, going back to that, let's talk about the smartest method. And can you give us starting off for the S, and what does the S stand for?
Sure. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of words in the method. I'll go through it just briefly, and I can give you the link to my blog if people want to, and your listeners want to go look at it and have a further breakdown of it. But just to sort of touch on it a bit. So the S stands for small and specific. So specific is, setting a goal that's specific. What does it look like, sound like, feel like? How would you describe it? By setting a goal that's small, I'm not encouraging people to think small. I always say think big but act small. So think of a larger goal. So the immediate goal they're working on is not just a one-off goal. It's actually a goal or a step to achieve a bigger goal in life. And the more goals you set and achieve, the better you get at it. So I always say think of a really big goal, work backwards from there, and identify what are all the other small goals that need to happen along the way. And that becomes your first goal to work on using the method. The M is measurable and manageable. So measurable is working out all the steps, working backwards from the outcome. What are the steps in order? And then manageable is asking yourself, well, what am I comfortable with when it comes to setting goals? What's within my control? What's not within my control? Being honest about that. And then the A is achievable and attainable, which in my method mean two different things. Achievable is around asking yourself, what's my belief system around this goal? Do I believe I can be a millionaire? Do I believe I can launch my own business? And if there are any negative beliefs holding you back, it helps you rewrite those beliefs to be more positive and empowering. And then the attainable is asking yourself, is this goal actually attainable? If someone's goal is to fly their own ship to Mars and set up camp there, that's not very attainable right now. Yes. In the future, maybe it will be. But right now, it's not exactly attainable. So an attainable goal is something that somebody out there has already achieved, and they can share with you how they did it. The R is realistic and relatable. So relatable is setting a goal that is congruent with who you are, connected to what's important to you, to your values, and it comes from within. A lot of people get confused and set goals that aren't really their goals, which is also what resolutions are. They tend to be other goals or society's goals. So setting goals that are relatable to you, that's linked in with what your interests are and what your passions are, or what's most important to you. And then the realistic part is not me saying to you, I'll be more realistic, but more like, what is your current situation? Because that's a person's reality, their current situation. Looking at the facts of the situation. Where do they live? How old are they? What's their income? Where do they work? What are their qualifications? And looking at those situational factors and asking, do those help me achieve my goal, or are they stopping me from achieving my goal? And Tony Robbins has a great saying about reality. He says, see it as it is, not worse than it is. See it better and then make it better.
Yes,
That's easier said than done, but it helps a person just look at their situation as it is and then build upon that. And then the T is time-framed and task-orientated. So by setting a goal that's time-framed, it has a due date, and there's also a due date for each of the steps. So you can schedule steps in for a week ahead or a month ahead, tick it off as you go, so it's all done in a timely way. And then task-orientated is going back to the steps that you established in the measurable part. You break those steps down even further into daily tasks. So the most successful people in the world have daily tasks or daily habits that help them keep successful. It might be that they read every day, they write every day, they exercise, they're on the phone, whatever it might be. So identifying what are the daily tasks that are going to help you achieve your goal. In the example of writing a book, I would say to anyone who wants to write a book, you be prepared to write every single day. Make that your daily task, even if it's only 50 words, 500 words, or 1,000. Just write every single day to keep that skill really sharp and focused, and you're then also writing and reaching your word count. So that's an example of setting a task. And then the EST is really the icing on the cake with the smartest method, because the smart part, like I said before, helps you plan the goal. And after you've planned a goal that clearly, you're going to feel pretty excited and pretty eager and ready to go. But as life gets in the way, that energy and momentum can start to go down.
Yes.
And it can be hard to get remotivated. So the E stands for energized and excited. So I provide tips in the book that help a person stay energized as they're working on their goals. So revisiting the reasons why, affirmations, a few different techniques that will help them get energized at any time when they hit a bit of a wall or other distractions are getting in the way.
Yes.
And then setting a goal that they're excited about. So a goal should be a fulfilling process, not just the outcome, but also the process of achieving the goal is just as important. Because some cases it can take months or years to achieve some goals.
Yes.
You need to enjoy the process.
Absolutely.
And you need to be something that you learn from that has a lot of value in it. So if you can see that working on that goal is an exciting process and it's going to bring excitement to other areas of your life, then that's a good goal. And then the S is stated and shared. So what I mean by stated is that as you've developed your goal plan, you're then ready to write down your goal statement, which is what you intend to do, how you're going to do it, and it's more like your commitment that you're making and a promise you're making with yourself that no matter what happens, you're committed to achieving this goal. So in the book, it'll ask you to actually write a statement, sign it, and date it, almost like you're making a contract with yourself. And then by sharing the goal, that's sharing it with someone who will mentor you through the process, so some kind of a mentor or a coach, but also thinking about when you achieve your goal and you have that success, who are you going to share that with? You know, success is better if it's shared with other people. So by sharing your outcomes and what you've learned with others, it helps them become successful and it makes you more successful. So I always say to people, how can you share this goal with other people, get other people involved, you know, get other people inspired by what you're doing? It really takes your goal up to sort of the next level. And then lastly, the T stands for take the first step. So once you've done the whole planning process, you've got your list, your due dates, you've got all your resources, you've worked out what are my first 5 or 7 or 10 steps in order. Before walking away from that goal plan, take the first step straight away. And that could be something really simple, like picking up the phone and calling someone, booking an appointment, going down and visiting somebody you need to talk to, purchasing a book, visiting a website. It doesn't have to be too arduous. The first step should be quite small and achievable. And then immediately follow that with the next step and the next step. And that's how you build that momentum and you keep going. And if at any point you hit a wall or you get a bit distracted or off track, just return to your plan and read it and reread it, reread the book, and that will help you stay really focused. And that's how I coach people through setting goals, and that's all pretty much contained in the book.
Absolutely, that's just fantastic. That's really good, Brian. And to listeners out there, if you want to contact Brian, look, he's he's a powerful coach and a youth empowerment coach, as a matter of fact. And you can contact Brian anytime on his. So how can people contact you, Brian, if they want to contact you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm happy just to take emails directly. So just info@brianmcaleer.com. So that's probably the most easiest way to reach me. My website, brianmcaleer.com, and I'm on Facebook as well. If people want to search Brian McAleer Coaching Services, it's the name of my business. That's on Facebook, and they can reach me, send me a message, email me, and also there's a blog for the book as well, which is thesmartestmethod.blogspot.com.au. And that has a lot of additional exercises and resources that go with the book on there, and I can be reached on any of those platforms as well. So.
Fantastic, Brian. Thank you. It's been an absolute privilege and a pleasure speaking to you this morning.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for the opportunity, and all the best for you in the new year with setting your goals, and keep doing all that great work you're doing on the radio show and with your talks as well. And I hope it's a successful year for you.
Thank you, Brian, and likewise. Have an outstanding day.
Thanks, Ryan. Take care.
There you have it, Brian McAleer on the program.